Chris, a 3-1 defeat this afternoon for Whitby, in arguably the biggest game of the season. How did you rate the game?
I think Stourbridge have won ugly today. The conditions were a bit of a leveller. I think with the first 45 in mind, we pretty much sort of dominated the game. And really should have went in with more of an advantage than what we had. It was always going to be difficult to keep Stourbridge out, obviously very direct, very powerful, and they put that to full effect in the second 45 and got goals that I can only describe as soft, barring the third one, where maybe we could have even defended that a little bit better before it's broke for the lads to put it in the top bin. So again, you would have to say that it's another disappointing afternoon, unfortunately. And
the second home defeat in a row, Chris, in what's coming to a very crucial stage of the season. It's not really what you want.
No, most definitely not. Like I say, I've just said to the boys there, we've come away there not doing enough in front of both goals, whether it be defending in the second 45 or scoring in the first 45, and a couple of chances in the second 45 also. So we're a little bit aggrieved. We should be doing better. We should be doing better defensively and offensively, and the lads know that. And for all the pretty football that we play, and the fluent moves that you see week in week out, it needs to have that cutting edge, from a scoring point of view. And it also needs to have that steel from a defensive point of view. And we were caught short on both accounts today.
You talk about offensive play, Chris, and chances missed. It was pretty much a carbon copy of last weekend, just before half-time, where Whitby missed a gilt-edged chance to double the lead.
Yeah, the chances were, especially in the first 45, they were coming thick and fast. And like you say, you just feel that the way the conditions were today, it was blowing a hooligan. Obviously, we're always going to be up against a headwind second 45. We needed to have a bit more of a cushion, and we had enough play and enough quality of the play to have a better cushion. Didn't prove to be the case, and like I say, it's fine margins. They've took full advantage of the conditions, and we have maybe missed a trick.
Yeah, you talk about defensively as well, Chris. Luke Benbow caused a lot of problems for Whitby this afternoon, particularly from range with his shooting. Do you feel that we perhaps gave players like Benbow and players like Caeldon Brown a little bit too much time on the ball?
Yeah, Benbow's a player. Benbow, he's been around, and like you say, he's sharp and he gets his shots away. And maybe on a few occasions we allowed him to do that a little bit too easily. But like you say, he's a decent player. Probably the pick of the bunch really. And like you say, we could have maybe done a bit better in that situation.
Yeah, we saw you change from a 3-5-2 to what looked like a 4-4-2 system this afternoon, Chris. What was the thinking behind that?
We just thought that if we can give both Carson and Hobson a bit more of a platform further up the park, with Gill and Snaith in behind, that would suit us. In the first 45, I think it definitely did. There were the two players I mentioned there were excellent, with the assurance of both Gill and Snaith in behind. Like I say, in the second 45, it was a different type of game due to the conditions, and we just needed to be a little bit more defensively sound. And like I say, the first two goals were poor, really.
Mikey Roberts returned to the fold this afternoon. How did you rate his performance?
Yeah, Mikey. We know what Mikey gives us. Like you say, he's a willing runner. He'll go in behind. He'll probably rue his missed opportunity in the second 45. That could have helped us manage the game a bit better. But yeah, like you say, Mikey's got minutes under his belt, and Mikey's obviously going to be a big player going into this run-in.
Absolutely. And then obviously looking at the table, Whitby drop out of the playoffs for the only the third time this season. It's one of those, you can't really let that affect the players, can you?
No, I mean there's still plenty to play for, but unfortunately I think our results as of late, probably since Christmas really, it probably means that maybe it's time for us to drop out of that top bunch there. And if we are to get back in it, which we're hopeful and confident as a group that we can, then our results have to improve, and we have to be a little bit more consistent with our results.
Do you feel that maybe dropping out of the playoffs is a bit of a shock for the team?
Well, at the end of the day, the table doesn't lie. We've come out for a reason. We're dropping too many points on a regular basis. I don't believe the performance levels have dipped that much It's just the fine margins that unfortunately are going against us. You know, and we've got to do something about that in terms of whether we're in front of goal or whether we're defending the goal. We've got to, you know, be more clinical in that.
And moving on to next week, obviously, what do you think Whitby can do different, obviously barring the result?
The result, that's what we can do differently. As we talked about, and again it just seems to be a bit of a deja vu in terms of the things that I'm talking about. You know, we have to be better in front of goal. It's not very often that you get one goal being enough to win games at this level. We're creating numerous chances. So like I say, we've just got to be a little bit more clinical. Marine, you see, was very clinical and seeing the game out with a healthy scoreline there. The nip and tuck games, then it's the fine margins, and you're going to be judged upon both the defensive and the offensive.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Chris.